Hello everyone, Dan Swift here, founder and CEO at Numentum, and welcome to the Speaker Series, where we spotlight some of the most interesting minds in the world of B2B revenue generation. At Numentum, we help forward-thinking B2B organizations create better buyer experiences and deliver new momentum to their revenue engine. On this episode of the Speaker Series, we speak with Sarah Roberts, Chief Marketing Officer at Boldyn Networks. We have a great conversation about showing off the bold and dynamic spirit of infrastructure, life as a constant juggling act, and the passions that drive people. Welcome to the Speaker Series. Great to have you on.
Thank you very much for having me.
I'm so excited for this. So I guess for context for everyone joining today, you're obviously the CMO of Boldyn Networks. So can you share a little bit for our listeners about your role? And then also, how does Boldyn Networks help the market? Let's start there.
Sure. So yes, as you mentioned, my name's Sarah. I'm Group Chief Marketing Officer at Boldyn Networks. So I lead all our marketing and communication efforts across the globe. Whether it's engaging our people, ensuring they understand our business and what we do, thinking about our customers and making the relationships we have with our customers successful, and then also thinking about growth and how we kind of go into new spaces, new markets, and bring in new customers. Boldyn Networks, very, very cool business. We brought together 6 companies a few months ago under the one umbrella brand, Boldyn Networks. So we are one of the world's largest neutral host providers and have a number of really exciting shared infrastructure projects around the world. For example, connecting the London Underground, the New York subway. We do a whole lot of venue connectivity. So LACrypto.com arena is one of ours. We do wind farms. We're working with Sunderland to build out the city as a smart city. So a whole lot of really awesome projects that are really helping us help citizens of the world connect. And we always talk about our purpose as a business is to unlock the power of an interconnected future.
Amazing. So for folks listening, it's boldyn.com to go learn more about it, obviously. And you've been incredibly busy over the last, 12 months and beyond, right? With bringing all of these organizations together under the single brand. Tell us just a snapshot of the last 6 months or so.
Yeah, it's been incredibly stressful, tiring, exciting. It's funny, isn't it? Like, for me, it's probably been the most special time of my whole career, but the most tiring as well. It's been an amazing journey of taking all our people in our business and taking them through, that they shake off one jacket and put on another jacket and making them feel comfortable in that new jacket. So really important that we looked after our people, and then thinking about how can we do something different in our space. Infrastructure is not normally known as the most sexy subject in the world, but the reality is infrastructure is what makes the world kind of tick, and we sit in behind so many things you have no clue about. So really wanted to establish a brand that showed that kind of bold and dynamic spirit of our people and our projects and our experience as a business. And that's where the name came as well. So big brand transformation, right from, starting to think about a purpose for the business that I touched on, and then how we roll that out to our people, our customers, and the market in general. And now everyone goes, well, now you're done. And now I'm like, no, now we're only beginning, because we need to think about how we take that further. And so much growth and so many aspirations in the business that we're helping to lead.
You were shortlisted for the 2023 Global Women in Marketing Awards. And I mean, obviously incredible and obviously testament to the work that you've been doing at Boldyn, but also throughout your career. So well done. I've got a question off the back of it, though. So when you were a kid, and I'm going to take you back a little bit, did you imagine you would grow up to become a CMO? Was that something even remotely on your mind, or was it going to be something else?
I don't even know if I knew what a CMO was. And I actually always used to say the one thing I don't want is I don't want an office job.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, I always used to say, don't want an office job. I don't want an office
Yeah,
job. I was one of those kids that every year I was going to be something else. I
yeah,
was
yeah,
always
yeah,
a learner. I loved to be fascinated by what was happening in the world. So, one year I'd be wanting to be a pilot or a teacher or I don't know. The list was endless. I think
yeah.
when I got a little bit older, when you start thinking about what do you want your career to be,
Hmm.
interestingly, it was sports psychology. So
Ah,
there you go. And
wow.
the serious part of me would go, have always been fascinated in what motivates people and what makes them tick.
Yeah.
The other small part of me, I kind of wanted to marry a tennis player. Maybe,
I
and this is, that's me being very honest here.
love it. Love
Um,
it.
I think part of it thought, oh, that might be a nice way to meet a tennis player. But, and that's how I ended up, going and doing the study that I did, because for me, it's always been kind of what makes people tick. Like,
Yeah.
it's so interesting understanding people and what their passions are and what drives them. And yeah, even probably in my mid-teens, that was something that kind of really interested me.
And there's got to be there is a link, right, between psychology and marketing. So
Mm.
talk to us about how those two disciplines play out in your day to day and what you're doing with Boldyn.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because so I went to uni and I studied psychology because I thought I was going to be a sports
Yeah.
psychologist or go counseling. And I kind of came out of uni and I went, there's no way in my early 20s I can tell someone like how to solve their life. Like I haven't lived anything. So I somehow fell into marketing and then I did, postgrad in marketing. And if I think about both degrees, I think I got a lot more out of psychology and I used it a lot
Mm,
more than I would do my marketing degree. And look, I think a marketing degree is great. You learn the foundations. It challenges you to think about kind of what you're doing and how you kind of can drive growth in a business. I think you
hmm.
can learn a lot of it on the job. Psychology has helped me no end. Whether
Right.
I'm thinking about me as a leader and developing my team and people, and the brand transformation I was just talking about, so much of that was thinking about people across the business and how you could navigate them through change. A large part of my role is internal comms and internal engagement, and change is a
Mm,
huge part of that, which I think psychology really helps with. And then on the other side, you know, the 101 of marketing is understanding your customer. And I
right.
talk a lot, and I know Dan, you and me have talked about this idea of, the B to H, the
Yes.
business to human. There's no such thing as B to B or B to C, it's the B to human. So having that grounding in psychology, like
Mm,
maybe that's how I've latched onto B to H, or it's just kind of the right kind of fit for me for marketing. But I really think thinking about that end customer is key to anything you're going to market, anything at
yeah.
all. If you don't kind of highlight what are they thinking, what are their drivers, how you can tap into talking to them, whether it's B2B or B2C, then you can completely miss a trick. So I think it's helped me on both sides, kind of the leading a team and transformation and business, and then on the other side, kind of the fundamentals of marketing. Probably more than my marketing degree did, but don't tell
Well, and listen, I did geography degree, right? I was one of those people who went to university because I knew I wanted to go to university. I went to the same university as my older sister went to because she just
anyone.
clearly had a great time, and they had a really good rugby program. So I
Mm,
left with a geography degree, and I was like, no disrespect to geography teachers who are unlikely going to be listening to this, but I didn't want to be one. So,
mm,
but I did want to be a teacher. So it's funny how things kind of play out because obviously I'm teaching folks doing what we do. A lot of folks who listen to this are starting out on their career all the way through to people at your level, peers of yours. And what does a day look like for you? And we want details. We want to know when it starts, if there's any routines, weird ones or otherwise. We want to hear it all. Any structure you put to your day or week. Talk to us a little bit about this.
Sure. Well, I think if I could summarize a day for me, it's called a juggle. Like my life is a constant juggle. And I have a 4-year-old little girl
Mhm.
who I absolutely love, but she becomes the juggle in the day. So it normally
Mhm.
starts, I don't know, 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm that terrible person that the first thing I do is I open my phone.
Mhm.
Um, it's normally, a large part of my role is also external communications.
Of course.
So I'm normally catching up on what's happened in the world overnight. It's the late US emails that have come in when I'd gone to bed. We still have part of our business and people in Australia. So I'm normally catching up with them. And I normally get a little bit of a window as well where I can reach out to them and do a bit of backwards and forwards with them before they start wrapping up for their day as well. So that probably is kind of the first hour of my day. There's normally a coffee involved in that. I'm not the super healthy person that has the water and lemon. I know I should, but I have the coffee. And then at some point in time, my 4-year-old appears and wants a cuddle. And I always try and prioritize about an hour to help, get the breakfast done,
Right.
Cuddle. We've normally been terrible the night before with our homework, and we're normally doing homework at 7 o'clock in the
The morning
morning.
scramble, yep.
Yeah, the morning scramble. And then probably somewhere between about 8:30 and 9, the cool start. So I may be in the office, I may have gone into the office in that window and hubby has looked after Harriet, or I'm at home on calls. And it will be calls after calls after call. I'm involved in lots of different projects. It's supporting my team. It's really important to me that they have the help and support, even if they're leading projects themselves. I try and a couple of times a week squeeze in a gym session if I can. That's my trying to box of being healthy. I'm terrible at eating lunch, and normally that gets squeezed in maybe at 2 o'clock. If I'm working from home and my hubby is as well, he normally bangs on my door and makes me eat. So he's a very good wing person for me. And then I try and have that kind of break between sort of 5:30, 6 o'clock to about 8. Again, food, looking after the little one, doing the juggle. And then I'm normally back on emails if I need to. And in the evening, it goes quiet in a nice way. So even though we've got the business in California, we do a lot of cross collaboration and calls later in the UK afternoon. Then we roll into kind of more peaceful time of doing the PowerPoint presentations or the board packs, or do a lot of comms reviewing in the evening when it goes quiet and I'm not being pinged. Sometimes there's red wine. It's my little treat in the evening. I'm trying to be good, but doesn't happen very often. Normally some reviewing. If I can, I do like to go do networking events or different dinners. Try and kind of, I'm new to London. I've been here a year, so try and make a bit of an effort to at least once or twice a month do something like that. So that might be my evening as well. And then maybe switch off at 9-ish, 9:30-ish, depending on what's going on. So pretty full on day, but as I said, just a juggle. It's just a juggle.
Just a juggle. And the switch off at 9:30, is it easy for you to just switch it off and go into no. So it's the glass of red wine. Yeah, there you go. It's the glass of red wine, takes the edge off a little bit. I got you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And look, I do try and have a half an hour of some sort of, I don't know, mindless, unwork related piece of content. I like to call it my bubble time. I'm very bad that if there's noise around me, I'll always be wanting to deal with it. So I try and put the cone of silence down. I'm a lover of kind of crime thrillers. So, whether it's a book, and I'm old school, I love an actual book in your hand, like that feel of, your world is just kind of, you can absorb yourself into a book, or I even get the iPad out and watch something on the iPad. But crime thriller. I love using my head. I love that. But at least if I'm using my head to do something that's a little bit different, it gives it a bit of a break.
Okay, Netflix recommendation for you, crime thriller, Bones. Have you seen it?
Bones, no.
Yeah. Okay, check it out. It's not for everyone's taste, but I think it might be you based on how what I know about you.
I've got the next one on my list. The next one on my list is The Diplomat. I don't know if you've seen that. I've heard very good things.
All right. Throughout your career, a lot of folks, and again, remembering the audience who are listening to this right now, are looking at folks like yourself for those pinpoint moments. So is there one, maybe a couple of moments in your career that you would potentially describe as pivotal? And if so, what can you share with us?
I don't know if there's, I'm going to sit on a fence. I don't think there's one pivotal moment. I'm a big believer. I'm a little bit of the sum of of all the parts and all the
Mm-hmm.
time over my career. I think making the decisions to move and go on adventures has probably been key to success for me personally.
Mm-hmm.
There was a point in time where me and my hubby packed up our life in New Zealand and we got on a plane to Sydney.
Yep.
That was for a job opportunity, and that was really exciting. Job opportunity didn't work out quite right,
Yeah,
but I got
happens.
it. But it was a whole nother opportunity and
Yep.
whole nother kind of industry to learn and country to learn. And obviously have done the same and coming over to London in the last year. And I think a large part of that is trying to not be scared of the unknown. It's the very
Uh-huh.
easy thing is to kind of go, ooh, that sounds
Yeah.
scary and I don't know it and I'm not sure what it's going to kind of bring. I think I've always kind of lived by the philosophy of you just don't have regrets, you have learnings. So,
Right,
you
right.
know, we did the jump from New Zealand to Australia. We did the jump from Australia to the UK. I've done a lot of marketing in all different industries. And I
Mm-hmm.
think every part has given me something special. You know, I
Yeah.
started out in finance and I learned so much about, you know, regulation, which had a lot of benefit in telco that a
Yeah.
lot of telco marketers didn't have. So for me, there's kind of been something I've learned along the way that's really shaped my ability to kind of see the world quite diversely. I
Mm-hmm.
think about it a lot when I even build my team now. I really try and bring people in from, you know, different countries or different industries, really bring that diversity in and try and harness that as much as I can and listen to new ideas. So it's kind
Mm.
of been my trajectory in my career of taking a chance and trying something new and trying a new industry and then building that kind of knowledge and skills and learnings into kind of who I am as a marketer and as a leader.
So good. And you moved to London about 12 months ago. So you're one of the founding members of Chiefs, the first international clubhouse in London. Was that
Yes.
part of your reason for joining, moving to London, networking? Talk to me a little bit about all of that.
Yeah. So, well, the opportunity for London was obviously our business was moving headquarters. I'd started a brand project that, as I talked about, was incredibly
Yep.
exciting and
Yep.
I wanted to finish. And Boldyn Networks as a whole, there is so much growth opportunity around what we wanted to do. And I'd kind of spent the last few years, what I kind of describe to people as building the plane. And I could
Mm.
stand on the ground in Australia and wave as the plane flew off, or I could sit in the
Mm.
plane and pilot it. And for me, I needed to get in that plane and I needed to pilot it. And then coming over here, I'd actually been talking to some of the US people in our business that had found
Uh-huh.
value in Chief prior to it opening in London. So I'd already registered my interest.
Right.
And they said, wait, we're going to be opening up in London shortly. So yeah, I jumped on that when I got the opportunity and a great way to kind of network and meet some
Yeah.
amazing other women and give me a space as well to, I guess, challenge myself and think about, you know, me as an individual and my career alongside kind of the program they run around coaching and kind of developing a network. So it's been really good being part of it. And that the CMO Club relaunched as well.
Yep.
So that's another one that I've now got involved in. And again, I brought that through into Sydney and was the president of Sydney before I left.
Right.
And now um, that sadly got sold off by Salesforce, but has been picked up again. And they're really starting to establish that. So for me, that's kind of getting a well-rounded network of marketers that are kind of doing the same thing as me and have the same challenges. And it's really important that I'm kind of getting a feel for how people are tackling different things and insights they have. And
Mm-hmm.
then I think on the other side of it, the chief one is then thinking about me as a female and what it means to be as a leader. So trying to kind of balance both sides of me as an individual and using
Yeah.
the network that I can to establish that.
I'd love to jump on what you just said about the leadership piece as well. So, well, actually, a couple of questions here. How do you feel as though you have evolved as a leader over the years? And if you could as well, maybe tell us a little bit about the pressures of the role, because you make it look and sound so natural, so easy, and externally as well as just
Did I
this
mention red wine?
conversation.
Did you not hear the red wine?
But I'd just love to, again, remembering the folks who are listening, tell us a little bit about the pressures of the role as well. So leadership and the pressures.
Um, so yeah, the pressures can be tough. And I think
Mm.
a large part of it is having support.
Mm-hmm.
So I touched on my husband who has come along the journey with
Mm-hmm.
me in my career. He's the one that makes sure I eat lunch if we're both
Yep.
working from home. The one that brings me up my dinner when, I'm on late calls.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't do it without him. And I think that's really important to acknowledge. Um, you're never an individual in this. Yes, it's kind of a lot of it is sitting on my shoulders and it's really tough sometimes. Um, but I have someone that helps and supports me, which makes it all
Mm-hmm.
possible.
Mm-hmm.
I think another large part of it is being willing to speak up if it is actually way too much.
Yeah.
So there's pressure and then there's pressure. And I think as, thinking about the people listening to this and starting out their careers, you need to learn to speak up if you're really sinking. And I say
Yeah.
this to my team and I support them a lot. You know, you want everybody in your team, in your workplace to be happy and healthy. And, that means they bring their best self to work, but it also
Mm-hmm.
means that, they can live their lives. And at the end of the day, work is incredibly important, but life
Mm-hmm.
is way more important. So I think you need to really learn your boundaries and learn when you're at breaking point and you need that time away or a mental health day. If I had a team member that said, look, I'm really overwhelmed, I just need a
Mm-hmm.
day, I'd say,
Yeah.
please do that. That's the most important thing. And I think, dealing with pressure, I try and think about, you know, where's my limit? I'm the worst at it though. I will tell you that. It's always like pot calling kettle black. My team call me on it too.
Uh,
But and it can be sometimes hard just to take that day. So I kind of try and think of it as smaller chunks, and that if I'm feeling like something's really getting to me or I'm extra snappy, like
mm-hmm.
I'll go for a walk down to the coffee shop in the fresh air with music in my ears, because if I don't have music in my ears, I keep ticking.
Right.
Music in
Right.
my
Right.
ear, and just have a break for 30 minutes. And that 30 minutes can do the world of good to reset yourself so that you can come back and focus. So it's
Mm-hmm.
really just knowing your boundaries and what you need to do to look after yourself and asking for help when you need it, and not being ashamed to say I've got support. Like
Yeah.
you don't have to be superwoman. Having
Mm-hmm.
said that, I'm going to say one other thing about pressure, because we always think about pressure as bad.
Right.
There are
Right.
good
Right.
there are good bits to pressure.
Mm-hmm.
So pressure can also bring out the best in people. And I've even seen it on the brand transformation. I've seen some of my team just flourish
Mm-hmm.
because you're really kind of putting them on the spot and they're challenging themselves. Sometimes being comfortable, is nice, but sometimes, and it's not always, we don't always want to go 150, just want to clarify. But
Uh-huh.
sometimes being challenged to get out your comfort zone is actually really fun and great. And
Yeah.
I love a challenge. And I personally thrive under the pressure, with having the little breaks as well,
Yeah.
but thrive under it because it's when I learn the most about me. It's when I really push myself. It's when I go, wow, I can do that. And I didn't know I could do that. And I love helping my team through that as well, because it's through those times you learn the most. And
Yeah.
it's fun and exciting too. So it's got to look after yourself. But if you maintain it okay, it can be fun as well, I guess, in
Yeah.
summary.
I love that. I absolutely love that. And those little breaks as well. I used to, as you know, used to work at LinkedIn, and
Mm.
we had a policy where if you were sat, a policy, an understanding that if you were sat at your desk for more than 50 minutes or so, and a colleague noticed that you had been, a little tap on the shoulder just to just stand up and just stretch it out a little bit, take a quick walk. Now that's the extreme example of that. But I'm guilty of it as well. I sat at my desk sometimes for hours and my brain just stops working efficiently. It's yeah, I hear you. Based on what you've just described, an
Mhm.
incredible journey so far, working New Zealand, Australia, now in the UK, obviously in London. Is there anything that you do differently?
No. In a nutshell, I honestly wouldn't.
Amazing.
And I think there's a lot of things I haven't done right, but it
Yeah,
doesn't
right.
mean that
Yeah, yeah,
I would
yeah,
change it. And I think that, and
yeah,
I mentioned it before, like for me, big believer in no regrets. Look, that's why
yeah,
I've got on the plane so many times. That's why I've
yeah.
done, taken risks. Every time you do something different, you learn. It may be
Mm-hmm.
good. It may be bad, but you learn. You
Mm-hmm.
learn about
Mm-hmm.
yourself, you learn about the world, you learn about other people, you learn about your team. And that's what I thrive on. And I think it's
Mm-hmm.
made me the leader I am today and the marketer I am today because of the learnings that I've got. And to be completely honest, you actually learn more when things go bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because, yes, it might have gone wrong, but you'll never do that again. And there's probably a whole lot of other things in the process that you'll also pick up on the way. So, yeah, for me, it's more learn, and take out of things as much as you can. And just give things a try. Because if
Yeah.
it goes wrong, you're going to have a learning out of that.
I was about to ask you if there's someone starting out on their career and this is the biggest piece of advice, what would it be? And I feel as though that's likely it, right? Just open yourself up to opportunities, and if you fail, like that's okay. Just learn from it and move on.
And ask
Anything
questions.
else? Yeah.
So I think
Ah.
in that as well, I think the large part of that, and I always say that to anyone starting in my team, ask questions. There's no
Mm,
such thing as a silly question. I'd
mm-hmm.
rather you ask questions and learn
Mm-hmm.
and grow than kind of worry that somehow that's going to make it look like that you don't know
Right.
something. You don't have to know everything. My
Right.
God, I don't know everything. I hire people in my team that know more than me. If I didn't do that, there'd be no point
Yeah.
hiring them. So I want them to challenge me and I want them to ask questions and I want to say that's not right. So I think that's really important, learn and ask those
Mm-hmm.
questions to be able to learn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And look
We've got a
after
lot.
yourself. The
Yeah.
world's crazy. You got to look after yourself too.
We got a lot of salespeople listening to this as well. And I was asked the other day, what was the trait of the most successful salespeople that have ever worked with you? And I said it's the curious ones, because they're not afraid to ask that first second, and the second, and then the third, and then the fourth. They're not bothering the person trying to uncover the challenges, right? Just be curious.
I get it from my
Like
4-year-old. Why, mum? Why, mum? Why, mum?
yes, yes,
That would drive me insane if all my team did all this. But it's that insatiable curiosity.
yeah,
And I think it's important that that translates through into what you do in the
yeah,
workplace, how you learn. That's how kids are sponges, right? They
right.
learn so much in such a short space of time because they're always questioning and always trying to absorb. And I think, it's good to take some of those traits through.
Yeah, you just mentioned it right at the end of what you were saying. There's a lot going on in the world. So, if you could just wave your hand and change one thing, first of all, about the business world, what would it be?
Well, so I know what your second question is going to be, and I'm going to cover it with one answer for both.
Go.
No
Let's.
cheats.
No, that's fine. I was going to say about the world in general. So let's do them both. Let's
Yeah,
do them
well,
both.
and this is it. So this is for business and world in
Yeah,
general.
yeah, yeah.
We need more kindness. I'm a really big
Yeah.
believer in this.
Mm-hmm.
So I think about in the business world, and I think it's starting to change, but it's still seen as a little bit of a weakness. But
Mm.
the reality is, the more that you can be kind, the more that you can be respectful and empathetic, you know, it means that people bring their whole self to work. And that's what you want. That's when you get the best out of people. So I think that's really important. And that doesn't mean you're not going to challenge or be complacent, but I think it's
Mm-hmm.
really important that kindness is thought about as a real kind of key attribute in the workplace. And then obviously, let's be honest, in the world, I don't know, now, always, empathy, respect, and kindness. Like I
Mm-hmm.
just, yeah, there's a
Yes.
lot going on in the world at the moment. And a little bit
Yeah.
more kindness would be good, I think.
Love it. Love it. All right. Last question for you. Last question for
Yes,
you. What would you tell your 12-year-old self?
be patient. Yes.
Okay.
I think, I really think I've always run.
Hmm.
And I think sometimes when you run too fast, it's really fun and it's challenging and the adrenaline's great, but you sometimes miss some things and you don't stop to smell the roses. And
Hmm.
so I think it's really important that, as you go along your career, and to be honest, in life in general, is that you're stopping to enjoy moments and celebrate moments and appreciate moments and giving yourself a pat on the back or your team a pat on the back, and just kind of taking it step by step, because I think if you always are running and you're always being impatient and you're always hurtling towards something, you kind of miss some of those special
Hmm.
moments, in family, in work, in life. So I don't know. I think I'd just love to have slowed things down a little bit. And am I going to listen to myself now? Probably not.
Yeah.
I think if anyone who's watched this podcast picked up, I'm terrible at taking my own advice. But I think it's really important. I think we all just hurtle towards too many things too fast in life. And I'd like to think I've taken challenges and risks, but I think sometimes maybe I should have enjoyed it a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Not that my life's over. That makes me sound anxious, doesn't it?
I was gonna say it's okay, Sarah. Well, listen, I think it's clearly worked out for you, and I think we're all. I've certainly learned a lot from just chatting with you. I always do. But Sarah, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it.
No, my pleasure. It's been wonderful, Dan. Lovely to chat. Thank you.
Well, that's all we've got time for on this episode of the Speaker Series. Thank you so much, Sarah, for joining us.